Still no word on who will replace Chase Elliott this weekend at Phoenix. Trackhouse may have new plans for Project 91, and Kyle Petty says Ryan Blaney has not lived up to his full potential. Is he right? How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope you're doing well. If you're new to the channel and you love NASCAR, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. We've got a few different stories to react to this morning. Let's start with Chase Elliott, because Hendrick Motorsports could announce at any time who will replace him at Phoenix this weekend. The entry list for Sunday's race has already been released, but next to the number 9, there's a blank. Bob Hawkers from Fox Sports tweeted a couple updates yesterday, saying initially, the NASCAR roster portal is now showing Josh Berry as the driver of the Hendrick Motorsports number 9 for Phoenix. Team has not made an announcement, and they can change the roster if they wish. A few hours later, Bob posted an update. The roster portal has been updated with no driver now listed for the HMS number 9 car, still to be determined. Josh Berry, NASCAR Xfinity Series driver for Junior Motorsports, who has an alliance with Hendrick, drove the number 9 at Las Vegas, finished 29th. Even if he's not the permanent replacement or long-term sub for Chase Elliott, I would like to see Berry get one more start at a shorter oval like Phoenix, something that's a little more in his wheelhouse, especially considering every driver in the field will be trying to figure out a slightly different aero package that might put Josh Berry more on an even playing field with the rest of his competition. We can really see a little more what he has. But we'll have to wait and see. I thought yesterday Hendrick was going to announce who would drive the 9 car. It'll probably happen at some point today, so I'll have to post an update when that news breaks. Next, I want to talk TV ratings for a second. I don't typically look at the television ratings after every single week, unless it's a brand new event or there's a huge spike or a huge drop off, like some sort of irregularity. I don't think it's the most useful information. I don't want us to make snap judgments based on overnight TV ratings. I think it's better to look, once the season is close to being over, look at the whole year by and large, pick out which events seem to have an increase, what seemed to work, what didn't, and then you can start to form some legitimate conclusions. But I am going to glance at them this week because they were significantly down. This tweet from Austin Konensky: the NASCAR Cup Series race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway averaged 3.991 million average viewers on Fox last weekend. The event was down 12.2% compared to last year's 4.5 million average viewers on Fox. My unprofessional opinion is that this is largely the Chase Elliott effect. Sports' most popular driver goes down. It's well documented that he will not race this weekend. Good chunk of his fan base just isn't going to tune in. Now, I'm also not going to look past the fact that it wasn't the most thrilling event. I talked about this Sunday night. It was William Byron dominance almost from start to finish. When Byron wasn't out front, it was one of his Hendrick teammates. The racing mid-pack was fine, but up front there was rarely any doubt as to who was in control of this race, so I could see some viewers falling off, or the race not retaining as many viewers as a typical race would. One detail I will add, though, is that NASCAR was not the only motorsport to decline in ratings this week. IndyCar, their season opener, unfortunately saw a 15% decline in viewership, and Formula One, who has seen nothing but ratings wins in the United States the last few years, actually saw a 2% decrease from this race last year, which I'll say is very surprising. So may not just be a NASCAR issue. I do think the Chase Elliott effect played a role. Could just chalk it all up to cord cutting, though. Nobody's watching traditional linear TV anymore. Next up, Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal has some news regarding Trackhouse's Project 91 entry, their 3rd car reserved for international racing superstars. Stern tweeted yesterday, Trackhouse could detail plans for its first of several Project 91 races this year, expected to be Circuit of the Americas, as soon as this week. The driver for COTA is unclear, but Justin Marks previously said that the Project 91 seat was Kimi Räikkönen's until Kimi said otherwise. COTA is just a few weeks away. I'm gonna be there, can't wait. Yeah, I guess technically it's my home track now. I was so used to that being Texas Motor Speedway for years, I'm still having to get used to a road course nearly in my backyard. Go back to Watkins Glen last fall. Kimi Räikkönen ran very well considering it was his first ever NASCAR Cup Series race. He briefly even drove his way up into the top 10 before a wreck on a restart he got caught up in midway through the race ended his day. He did leave the door open afterwards to a potential NASCAR Cup Series return. He quite literally said, I don't know, we'll see, when asked if he would come back. Typical Kimi Räikkönen, keeping it short, brief, somewhat vague. I do hope Räikkönen comes back. I hope that Project 91 car continues to be a success. I think the idea is brilliant. It's a great way to attract fans of other motorsport series, of other disciplines, get their eyeballs on NASCAR for a weekend, and maybe appreciate that stock car racing isn't just turning left, driving in circles. Us NASCAR fans understand that racing on ovals is very complicated. It's so much more than it initially appears to the casual viewer, but to the casual viewer, when they tune in and see a road course, a street course, they see them racing at COTA, an F1 track, that gets their attention. That's the kind of thing that impresses the casual viewer. So I love what Project 91 is. I hope we see it a few times this year, and I hope we see it at COTA. Again, I'll be there. I'd love to see Kimi Räikkönen or another racing superstar give NASCAR a try. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Sounds like, according to Adam Stern, we could get an official announcement or confirmation here in the next few days from Trackhouse. So I'll be very curious. Lastly, I don't think people come to my videos for my scorching hot takes usually, mainly because I usually don't have many scorching hot takes. I let other folks in the NASCAR media world deliver the hot takes. I'll just sit here in my comfy office chair and react to them. That's what I'm gonna do here today, because yesterday, Kyle Petty went on his NASCAR and NBC podcast he does with Nate Ryan. It was a really good listen this week, mainly because Kyle Petty had a few hot takes. But one of his hottest takes that I saw got everyone talking on social media, which is why I'm gonna bring it up here in this episode, had to do with Ryan Blaney. I'll put a link to the full episode down in the description below. I encourage you to go check it out. But here's what Kyle Petty said.
Ryan Blaney is the new Casey Kane, potential unfulfilled. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody wants to talk about what he can do, but he never does anything. For whatever reason. For whatever reason, he just never gets past that hump.
Now, to add a little additional context, this was brought up during a conversation about Ford and Penske and how they struggled at Las Vegas this past Sunday. Blaney was one of the drivers who struggled. Both he and his teammate Joey Logano qualified up near the front and both went backwards almost immediately. But let's talk about Ryan Blaney. Unfulfilled potential? Ryan Blaney is 29 years old. He just began his 8th full-time season in the NASCAR Cup Series. His first 2 were with the Wood Brothers, a Penske satellite team, but now he's in his 6th year in that 12 car, Penske's home base. Ryan Blaney is not even halfway through his Cup Series career, so I do believe any definitive comparisons are premature. But that being said, Kyle Petty compares him to Kasey Kahne, so I figured we could look at Kasey Kahne's first 7 Cup Series seasons and compare them to Ryan Blaney's first 7. Ryan Blaney had 7 wins, Kasey Kahne had 11. But Ryan Blaney's average finish was better, 14.8, compared to Kasey Kahne's 18.4. Ryan Blaney's best points finish is 7th, Kasey Kahne's, at this point in his career, was 8th, so pretty equal there. So wins, give Kasey Kahne the advantage. Average finish, give it to Ryan Blaney. Best points finish, they're pretty equal. I think it is safe to say that Kasey Kahne never quite realized his full potential. What he did in his early years, especially 2006, where he won 6 races with Everham, I think set up lofty expectations. Kasey Kahne ended up with only 18 wins in his NASCAR Cup Series career. And I don't mean to say only, that's still a really good number. I mean, that's the same number as, ironically, another driver of the Penske 12, Ryan Newman. So I don't agree with the "he's never done anything" part of Kyle Petty's quote. Kasey Kahne had a good career, and Ryan Blaney up to this point has been very good as well. I do think Petty comparing Ryan Blaney to Kasey Kahne is pretty accurate, at least so far. The unfulfilled potential line is also accurate. Ryan Blaney drives for Team Penske. His teammate Joey Logano has won 2 championships since Blaney got behind the wheel of that car. Ryan Blaney has not yet been to a championship 4. He's been pretty close. Ryan Blaney has not yet won a Daytona 500, even though he's been really close. He's always around, it seems, but he's never quite gotten over that hump, kind of like Kyle Petty said. In many ways, this is a compliment to Ryan Blaney, because I believe, and I think many others believe, that Ryan Blaney has future Hall of Fame potential. Ever since he won his first race back at Pocono in 2017, I've believed he was destined to be a future Cup Series champion one day. If he doesn't win a championship, or if he only wins 20 races or less like Kasey Kahne, that's still a really good NASCAR career, but that's not a Hall of Fame career. Blaney has 7 wins in his first 7 full-time seasons. He's on pace to win about 20 for his career. Hasn't been to a championship 4 yet, so right now, the pace Ryan Blaney is on is very similar to Kasey Kahne, who had a great career, but is not a NASCAR Hall of Famer. I'll bet if you ask anyone in the garage in 2006, is Kasey Kahne going to be a Hall of Famer? Is he going to be a future champion? I'll bet you everyone would have said yes. If you go back to 2017, 2018, will Ryan Blaney be a future champion? I think most people would have also said yes. So it's a compliment to Blaney that we all have these high expectations. We've seen glimpses of what he can do. We want to see him do it more consistently. But I don't think Kyle Petty's analogy is all that far off. Right now, Ryan Blaney has not lived up to his full potential, much like Kasey Kahne ultimately didn't quite live up to his full NASCAR potential. This is a tough conversation because I'm actually a big fan of both drivers. Kasey Kahne was always one of my favorites. Obviously, I was mainly a Matt Kenseth fan, and I always felt bad that Kenseth seemed to always just barely beat Kasey Kahne. I hated how much Kahne finished second to Kenseth. Honestly, go back to Atlanta 2014, I was kind of happy. No, I shouldn't say that. I was disappointed. Kenseth had a winless season going at that point. I wanted him to win that race. But when it was Kasey Kahne who beat him on that final restart, I wasn't as disappointed. Let me at least put it that way. So I was a big Kasey Kahne fan, and I'm a big Ryan Blaney fan. I'm a big Blaney believer. I think he's my dad's favorite driver, even if he won't just outright admit it. I want to see him do well. I want to see him realize his full potential. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think Kyle Petty's comparison between Kahne and Blaney is fair, is accurate? What do you make of Ryan Blaney's career so far? Where do you think his career is going? Let me know down in the comment section below. I don't know if y'all could hear, but there's a bird right outside my window. Yes, that is a window. That blue tarp curtain thing, that's actually covering up a window. I can't let any natural sunlight in here. I like to edit in a cave. No, but thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. I truly appreciate your very generous support. I hope that bird isn't building a nest out there because that's gonna make filming videos and recording things very difficult in the future. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. I will see you again very, very soon.